Hey, happy October, everybody. It's Linda Light coming at you hot today. So I have a day off from work and I feel refreshed, I feel rejuvenated, and I'm ready to drop it like it's hot. I've got some tough love, I've got some small business advice, and a few examples and a few downloads and things I want to share with you. So I did write some notes, which I don't usually do. Some of it I'm just going to come off, from the hip. But welcome to my channel if you're new. I don't usually do really tough love type of videos, but I actually had 2 downloads in the last 2 weeks, and knowing that this was going to be video content, so I am going to come at you, and I'm going to come at you a little hard at times. So if you don't want to hear this advice and you don't want to hear what I received to share, then, don't watch. So if you resonate, wonderful. I hope this can help, because this is coming from a place of love, and this is coming from my heart to share from my heart space, not from my head space. Okay. And we'll get into that in a minute too. So you probably all have been feeling the collapsing timelines, right? Am I right? I mean, deja vu's happening more often, and premonition moments and things where you just know you've been here, and all the signs and symptoms from collapsing timelines. Now, if you're here, you're awake, you're aware, you've done all the work. If that's the case with you, it's just it's like a little bit of dusting after you polished the wood last week, and this week you're just doing a little bit of dusting, and that shine comes right back up. So it's work you've already done. It's not like it's hard work. It's riding the waves now. It's flowing with ease and grace. So keep up the good work. Good news is healing has been approved for everybody. So according to the councils that I speak with, there has been an ongoing effort to get the healing technologies out to people and to get everybody some kind of credit, if you will. And it's been proposed that there is a credit for everybody so that everyone can get the healing that they need, even if they're not aware of it. But get the healing that they need so that and that doesn't mean, maybe a full physical turnaround. It could, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. Sometimes the healing is more inner healing, and it will help shift a perspective so that you're not self-focused and self-centered or self-aware too much so, and that you can shift the perspective to be more serving of others and coming from the heart instead of the head. So that's going to be a theme, coming from the heart instead of the head. And I just made that up. That's not on my notes. I actually had a 10D version of myself, a higher aspect of myself, wake up a couple weeks ago out of a cave-like deep freeze. And it was absolutely amazing. And it was something that I've been integrating and still unpacking and still getting used to, this higher dimensional connection on a conscious awareness level in this body during this vehicle's time awake here. And it's been really interesting. So be aware of higher connections. Your inner voice, you might think the voices in your head, I've talked about this, covered this in many other videos about telepathy and connection with other beings, and not all the things that you hear in your head are your own voices. So learning how to root that down into your heart and connect and find out, that's some of the inner work you can do, is just keep working on yourself, keep learning. So unresolved issues that are out of balance will be coming fast and furious at you, as these timelines have now been collapsing faster and faster. So dealing with them head on is a really good idea. So if this content resonates with you, great, but the advice is for the collective based on my higher self downloads and integrations and inspirations that I've received over the last week or so from multiple sources. So a close friend inspired this part, very close friend. It's about not participating in other people's drama, removing yourself by not playing into the hooks and the traps that other people set for you. And by hooks and traps, I mean people who make frequent passive-aggressive remarks, as an example, trying to get a response out of you for perhaps conflict or sympathy. It's called stealing your energy is what it is. So those people frequently will justify their behavior. They'll redirect. They'll ask questions. They'll ask questions that are off topic, and they may tend to over-explain things. So if they don't let you like have a moment where, you know, something that you're telling them is your thing and their thing always has to be, oh, like, I know, I have da 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 da. If they don't let you have a moment and they're not validating or anything like that, it's a one-upsmanship. So that's a form of passive-aggressive behavior. But it's also, it's dealing with other people's drama and not buying into that, not playing into that. So when others are not abiding by the golden rule principle, a good way to offset some of these traps and hooks is to respond with your wisdom. Remember, knowledge is knowing what to say, but wisdom is really truly knowing whether or not to say it. I love that. Sometimes less is more. So when you do respond, be thoughtful and come from your heart space, not your head space. It's finding ways to plant seeds of love and inspiration. See them as their best version. How you know in your heart they want to be, especially for those that are closest to you because you know them the best and you know what their hearts are the best. So try to see that. Planting seeds in this way will allow you to step out of playing along begrudgingly just to avoid a conflict. You know the rules of this game now. You're expected to get off the bench and actually play in this game, but with the 5D and above rules. For example, giving someone a compliment when you know they want it. Are you feeling safe but small inside while contemplating? Are you feeling safe but small inside, complimenting them, knowing that you're just avoiding a conflict? That's playing it small. You feel safe. You're not going to get conflict. You're not playing into the drama, so you can stay there. But now, how you play big, that's the heart space games. I mean, that's headspace games. So heart space coming from there is shifting your perspective. Don't do anything different. Give them that compliment, especially if it's a genuine compliment. But if you feel that attachment of begrudgingly giving it to them, and thank you, you know who you are, that inspired me. Thank you so much. Shifting your perspective can lead to not feeling the grumbling grudges of your headspace, but rather your open 5D heart space. So don't say anything different. Give them the same compliment, but when you're giving them the compliment and you're coming from your heart, you are truly seeing them in their best version. You are planting that seed with them by sharing from your heart. It's a compliment from the heart. When you shift your perspective that way, you're coming from up here to down here. And that's what it's all about, folks. If you're giving a compliment in your head because you know they want it and you just want to avoid conflict and you're saying, okay, yeah, you do a great job. Like you're playing along, but inside you feel like, oh, I know they're not really doing a great job, but they're a good person and they want to do a great job. So plant that seed. Say, oh, I know, give them a compliment again, but come from here. Just say, I know in your heart you always want to do the right thing, and sometimes you can't, but whatever the compliment is. You get the idea. So you're choosing love. And you treat them as you know they can be in their best version. And you know what? Especially if they can't see that themselves. You're holding that space for them to see them in their best version, right? You're holding that space for them. It's like the monks that are healing. This guy with cancer-ridden body, and they're chanting over him like, "You are healed, you are healed." They're not actually like zapping energy and looking to do psychic surgery on the tumor. They're actually seeing that person totally healed. So you see that best version of that person. You're coming from your heart space. You know this is their best version, even if they can't see it themselves. You hold that for them because that's part of the rules in 5D. That's what we're doing now. We are holding space. We're putting placeholders for people that we love the most, the people that are the ships in our harbor, in our life, the people we're closest to that we love, our family, our friends, our coworkers. You may not love all of them, but yeah, you can. You absolutely can love all of them. Anyway, try to make it a game, Catch yourself when these things pop up. Make it a game. It's clean. What we're doing is cleaning up those collapsing timelines. You're aware, you're awake, you've done the work, so enjoy the rest of the ride. It does get easier this way. It's like coasting down a hill. And here's another example. You're on a very long road trip. Perhaps you've been gone a very long time. You've hit potholes, ditches, detours. You've been without food, without sleep, without air conditioning maybe, or heat if it's cold. You've gone through the wild wilderness. You've been on a long exploration and a long road trip. And now you're on your way home. You've been on your way home. And perhaps you're really, really hungry right now or parched. You're so thirsty. But, you're tired, everything, you're worn down. You just want to get home. You got the idea. And that feeling where you get in your neighborhood or you're getting really close, you get in your town or your city, and you're getting closer and closer and you can feel it. You can feel it. You can't see the home yet, but you can feel it. You get re-energized. Try to make it a game like that, because that's what's happening. That's what's happening when these timelines collapse. You're getting a bigger sense of oh, I'm so much closer. I feel it. I know it. It's just something that you know. And even if you can't see it, you can't see your street, your house, or your apartment, or wherever you live, you can't see your dwelling. It's okay. You don't have to because you sense that you're closer. And a lot of people are sensing that because a lot of people are still in that not being able to see. I'm going to give you another example too. There's a movie that I just watched. It was either Prime Video or Netflix. I want to say Prime Video, Amazon Prime. And it's called Valerian. And there's so many wake-up calls in there. But there's one scene where they go to this market. And these humans are going and they have to put on these masks. And what it looks like is a bunch of humans kind of wandering around in an enclosed area in a desert. But what it is they put the masks on and they put these either gloves or boots or something. And it enables them to see in different dimensions. And what they look like in the other dimension, they see they see a busy market and all kinds of stuff. If you watch the movie, you'll see it. If you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. But seeing in the other dimensions, it's like they're right on top of us. They're right there. But if you're only looking at it from one, you don't see anything. You'll just see people wandering in a desert. But if you're seeing in the higher dimensions, they're very busy, active places, those other dimensions, sitting right on top of us, mind you. So now, okay, that was, I digressed a little bit. Okay, I'm going to get into the next section now. The next section is advice for small business owners, and this was inspired by my daughter and something that she's been through most recently. So I'm going to ask some rhetorical questions. I'm going to ask some contemplative questions. I'm going to point out a few things, stuff that she's pointed out from her work, and I'm changing some of the details just to protect her, the nature of her work or her business owner and that kind of thing. It's not really important though. It's the principle. So are you growing a business that's a labor of love? I'm really talking to small business owners or any business owners right now. And if you don't own a business, you still can get something out of this and apply this to your life. So, I hope you keep listening. Are you growing a business that's a labor of love? If not, reevaluate your product or services to see if you can incorporate that. Maybe even consider selling your business if it keeps bringing you down and you're in a position to do so that you can do what brings you joy. If you're not in a position to do that, do you have people working for you? If so, are you treating them with the golden rule philosophy? If not, how can that change? Ask yourself, would you want to work for you? How would you change if you were the employee? Have you been generous? How have you been selfish, stingy, or self-serving, perhaps even entitled, feeling like you deserve the most just because you're the owner? Do you act like a boss because you're the owner? Or do you treat everyone who works with you with the respect and the decency that they deserve? Again, would you do what you're doing but for someone else if these were the same working conditions? Wait, reverse that. Again, would you do what you're doing but for someone else if these same working conditions apply as they do for your employees? If yes, then you're doing amazing. Keep up the good work. If no, then ask yourself, do you frequently have people who work for you leave? If they do, have you done the work to realize why this happens? Are you blaming the type of work or the industry for your revolving door, or do you blame yourself? If people are leaving frequently and giving you a decent notice, it could just be that they got a better job. No problem. But if they frequently quit without notice or just stop showing up or answering their phones, perhaps there's something other than the actual work at stake. Small business owners who treat their employees with distrust and have policies set up to make their employees feel untrusted or have policies set up to make their employees feel untrusted, not valued, or underappreciated, are most at stake for high turnover. For instance, do you have a benefits policy that makes your employees wait 6 months before they're able to earn vacation and forces them not to work holidays during that time without pay? That's a disaster waiting to happen. An employer who doesn't have a clear pay structure and payday in place, causing confusion, can also be a definite problem. Do you forget to pay your employees? Or wait for them to remind you to be paid? Do you frequently get calls and texts saying their pay is less than expected? Just think, the main reason why someone works for you initially is the money. It's an exchange for their value, time, and effort contributed to your company. If you treat their value as secondary to yours, and you pay yourself and make them wait, or you take advantage of their time, or maybe you're not willing to give a raise when you get more work and therefore more money, because you somehow feel more deserving than your workers who are helping you be able to expand, if you treat their value as secondary to your own, you're not on solid ground, and that's an elementary fact. Mismanaging money is a big problem for small business owners. Perhaps consider getting a new bookkeeper or financial person if you're in this category. Taking a lion's share of the profit and not taking care of your employees with a raise when your business grows is greedy and will be directly lead to the loss of your workers. Your workers know when they're doing more work, or if they're directly responsible for helping you grow by handling more responsibilities and doing work that you perhaps previously did yourself. Example, a small company is selling and installing windows that has 5 employees. The owner started with just himself, so he knows his business. He's done all the jobs and has trained his employees well. He's now getting more accounts and can't possibly be at all the jobs. He decides to give a well-deserved raise to the employees because he can't be in 2 places at once, and his senior crew is handling more work without him. That's a great choice because his employees will feel appreciated, not just lip service. Money talks, doesn't it? The business owner has now backed his words with action, and his employees are less likely to leave, knowing their value is seen, appreciated, acknowledged, and validated. Everybody wants their value to be validated or appreciated or seen and acknowledged. Am I right? People are just people. No, people are people. just like you, business owners, and they're not to be taken advantage of, or they will find another place to contribute their worth. Imagine the same business owner who doesn't give a raise or doesn't give paid vacation until 6 months after, but forces you to work holidays and not get paid. How do you expect they will feel? The employees, that is. Well, if you have a business owner who listens to these complaints and takes action to fix them, allowing themselves to evolve through the growing pains of becoming better, they will not only survive, but they will thrive. Those who get policy change, like my daughter, are change makers. I didn't list all the details of her job, and I changed some of the details to keep the examples as just an example. But she did speak up at a business meeting, and she did get policy changes. So, hooray to the change makers. Let's keep it going for everyone. You have a mission, you change makers out there. You have a mission to make this place we call home better. So keep it up. Don't be afraid to speak your truth. Come from your heart center when you do it. Plant those seeds. Don't be a doormat. Just don't be afraid to speak up when the time is right. You'll know. You want a stable business without high turnaround, business owners? You want loyal employees who have no problem going the extra distance for you? Perhaps consider treating the people who work for you and make you money and sustain your livelihood with a golden rule and the same way you would want to be treated. A small gesture on occasion is nice, but not enough to brag about how good you treat your people for weeks or maybe months later. You really want to be that owner? You really want to be the kind of owner that people will refer to behind your back as a leader and not a boss, because there's a big difference there. Someone that people would want to continue to work for, even when things get tough. When your business grows, give them a raise. Don't feel that a raise is only for you, especially when you're expanding and you're putting more work in, perhaps. You're putting more work on the people. Wait, let me go back on that one. Don't feel like that raise is only for you, especially when you're expanding and you're putting more work, perhaps, on the same people that helped you be able to take on more and therefore get those bigger accounts or additional clients, etc., etc. It only makes sense. Don't wait for them to have to ask about it. And for God's sake, don't fire someone that asks for a raise. That's just asinine. True story. I know someone recently that just got fired who asked for a raise. What? I mean, that's just a greedy boss. Sorry. Not sorry. If you treat people this way, you definitely won't last very long. Let's see. Share the windfalls. It's the healthy golden rule business 101 type of style. That's the kind of business you want to be. A business owner. This also applies to, this isn't just business owners too. So it also applies to tipping service workers, donating, helping others. I've heard before that the people that give the most or contribute the most based on ratio, as opposed to what they have, is directly proportionate to those that have the least. So the people that have the least amount to give the most. Even though in dollar signs, you might have a rich person write out a check for $1 million that, a less wealthy person might not be able to do something like that, but the wealthy person could have 10 million in the bank account and give, well, I doubt they'd give $1 million if they only had 10. Let's say they have $1 billion in the bank account and they give $1 million. That's a drop in the bucket. And you got somebody that's got $100 in their bank account and they see somebody on the street and they hand them $25. So, you know what I'm saying. You get the idea. So try to catch yourself when you're planning your future and you feel the greed or the selfishness kick in. All humans do it to an extent, but those who are actively trying to improve themselves are finding ways to balance all the details. They're choosing love. It's simple. It's everlasting. It's a never-ending supply. So just remember this applies across the board, not just for small business owners. And if you are a business owner and you've watched this far, use these tips and seeds of love in your daily life and free yourself from the trappings and the pitfalls by simply deciding to be a little better every day. Once you know, you'll always know, and you'll always be accountable. So now you know. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you.